Hello, everybody, and welcome back to. I think I'm going to rename the podcast immediately, episode 2, and I'm renaming it.
Fair enough.
It's not going to be the Snowco podcast, it's now the Snow and Co podcast.
Nice.
In case we get guests.
That's great.
Welcome, listeners and viewers, to the Snow and Co podcast with me and Brandon here. We hope you're having a nice day.
We do.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
In fact, it's
again,
mandatory that you have a nice day.
It is absolutely mandatory. It's like good morning, say it back.
Yeah.
Except instead of good morning, it's have a nice day.
Have a nice day, or else.
Or else.
Or else you won't. Ever again.
We hope you enjoyed the last episode. It was an absolute blast to create and talk with you, Brandon, about films.
Too kind.
And films.
Yeah.
That was the entire episode, basically. Congratulations.
No,
you just watched episode 1.
Yeah, you did. That's a recap. I mean, we did briefly cover Robert Downey Jr.'s drug addiction
and mental health.
Yeah. And that as well.
Mental health, yeah. Although brief, I felt like it was needed to be said, and it was an ode to the Jingle Jam, which is over. By the time this recording will go out, and we're recording some of these in storage. So Jingle Jam will definitely be over, but I hope they did well. They definitely raised a lot of money for good cause. It was great.
More credit to them.
Good streams, good times. But yeah, Brandon, I want to talk to you because I have an itch that I need to scratch.
Okay.
The long-awaited release of CD Projekt Red's hit game, Cyberpunk 2077. Has actually released for the I was fully expecting it to be delayed again, but it's here. I've played it and I'm loving it. It's a fucking blast. Now I will tell you, the reviews were correct. It's buggy.
Well, yeah.
Definitely.
It was pushed back 4 times, wasn't it? So
definitely, it should have been pushed back again. I feel like if they pushed it back again, they would have been able to finalize everything. But you run the risk of, hey, it's delayed again, let's cancel. It's not going to release.
Yeah.
So, but no, it's bugs that aren't necessarily game-breaking, at least from my experience. I know people with HDR have had terrible experiences, and the optimization could definitely be improved. It doesn't run as it should, personally. Yeah. But
that's isn't that mainly last-gen games?
It doesn't run on last-gen consoles. I'll be fully honest, it doesn't. I don't think it should have released on it personally. Yeah. I still think it should have been next gen and PC, and that's it. PC coming first, because even on next gen consoles, there isn't a next day patch until 2021. So it's not utilizing its hardware. But no, the game itself is glorious. The world feels so fucking incredible. It feels bigger than GTA's map. I don't know if it is. I can't remember the exact size. I don't know if someone's matched them. But like in terms of like when you're standing in the city and then you just drive off into like the outskirts and it's just like a desert. Yeah, the wasteland. And like there's like a few like little hot spots of towns and like some gangs over there, and you can see the big neon lights in the city, and you've only been driving like 3 minutes. Like you feel the world is massive. Like you can go inside of every fucking room, and there's like an interactable or a guy to speak to, and there's so many side quests. And obviously Keanu Reeves is in it. He plays a really good character.
The most important part.
The literal only important thing.
Everything prior to what you just said.
Useless.
Didn't listen.
Garbage.
Didn't care.
No.
Keanu Reeves, you have my attention.
But no, this is the thing. He does, because he has the second most spoken lines in the fucking game.
Brilliant.
He's literally, essentially the main character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically
I haven't finished the main story yet. I've been doing some side quests as well as the main story, and the game is phenomenal. The glitches...
Well, I think if you get a game like Cyberpunk, or let's take Skyrim as another example, or
like Skyrim and Witcher,
or Fallout New Vegas, or The Witcher, yeah. If you don't play side quests, what are you playing that game for?
Why do you even own this game?
Not you.
The game, like with Cyberpunk, you can definitely tell if you want to get the most out of the game, you can fully build like relationships and like a trust within these characters to unlock dialogue options. And playing through the side missions feel extremely well crafted. Like some of them are a bit generic, like oh wow, the guy you hate has been kidnapped and you still want to save him. Let's go do it. Yeah, like shit like that. But then there is some stuff that you wouldn't expect, and it's still obviously in the wacky world of cyberpunk themed things.
Yeah, your sci-fi sort of genre.
Sci-fi mixed with modern reality. It looks cool as hell. Like especially like all the cyberware and everything. They did a really good job. Just iron out a few things and fucking hell, it'll be so good.
Yeah, I mean, the bugginess, it doesn't really surprise anyone. I don't think.
No, I think it's kind of unexpected. Like Witcher 3's launch was really bad in terms of bugs. There was a lot of hard crashes. Fucking Geralt's horse was the most cursed thing since Skyrim's horses. And let's not even talk about Skyrim. Bethesda was on another level with what they put in that game. Some fucking. Run it above 60?
Well, it's great when you can position your horse on a rock in Skyrim, and all of a sudden it becomes a trans-dimensional being. It's really
the thing that got
really
me was the game engine. I guess it was 2011 when it was released, so this made sense. But if it ran above 60, the game would freak out. And I played it on stream when I first started streaming. I was playing it on stream. I forgot to cap it at 60. And I didn't clock in that the game was forcefully stuck at 60. So when it goes through, hey, you're finally awake, and it goes through that cinematic. It's not cinematic. It's part of like the skit. It's part of like the game, and it's just he says, hey, you're finally awake. The horse just dies immediately for me. It dies, fades through the world. The cart then flips out, does loads of fucking turns. It's unplayable until you cap it at 60. And even then, it's not exactly a smooth ride.
Yeah.
And I have a clip on my Twitch, twitch.tv/Snoversio. You'll be able to... there is a clip of me describing the scene, and you can view it and view my reaction to it.
Wait, there's a clip of you describing the scene?
No. There's a clip of the scene I just described. But no, a game like Cyberpunk, an RPG, massive open world. If you're expecting it, yes, okay, the game was in development for 7-8 years, but fucking the amount of detail and thought and like everything they've put into it. I mean, T-posing characters and some NPCs are a little delayed on their actions. That's not exactly bad. That's like a best case scenario.
Yeah.
This ain't like Skyrim where you position your car on a curb and it just fucking could do whatever it want. Like there is still it's a sturdy game. You can play the whole thing. I've only had one major issue, and it's the first I've seen ever. It crashes my monitors.
Oh,
I have 2 monitors, and I was playing the game. I don't know. Like I was playing the game, and I was doing a thing, and there was like some lighting effects going on, and then both my monitors like did the bit of static, cut to black, the power LED went off, and then turned on and like forcefully restarted themselves, and like by the time they tuned back in, the game had crashed. And I haven't been able to recreate the error since, but like it was a very weird experience. I've never seen a game or a Windows program fucking crash both monitors and not the PC.
Yeah.
Definitely weird, but yeah.
That's a new one. I've never heard that either.
Other than that, game's been fucking phenomenal so far. I recommend you check it out if you haven't already, or watch it on Twitch if you're hesitant on buying it. The reviews are without day one patch, so quite a bit of stuff was patched in. Not everything, as with patches.
Yeah, I mean, reviews on games aren't really reliable anymore. I don't think they ever have been, to be honest.
I honestly, the thing is, these reviews were given a copy of Cyberpunk, but they were denied the day one patch, which contains what every game should, a fucking shit ton of fixes, optimization, and all
Yeah.
this stuff.
Yeah.
And if you're giving reviewers an unfinished copy that is buggy
And
as hell,
expecting them to review
I
it.
don't
Yeah.
know what you expect.
Yeah.
Like, still,
Sure.
even with that copy, IGN scored it 9 out of 10, got 91 on Metacritic. It was like 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10 for most reviewers.
Yep.
And the
Yeah.
only thing they complained about was the bugs. And I'm like, well, if you've given them this patch or delayed
To
it
be
and
fair,
fixed all these,
let-
there wouldn't be that many like negatives.
Let's be honest though, if they're still with a bugged copy of Cyberpunk, still giving it 9s, like
Yeah, this is
why bother
they had
fixing it?
they had
You know what I
50
mean?
hours. They had 50 hours with the game. That like they had to meet a minimum of 50 hours before they could write a review. And they couldn't record any of their own gameplay, just whatever the trailers had shown them. So it was like fair enough. They could go into spoilers if they wanted. Oh wait, no, it was a spoiler-free review. So they obviously they could only really talk about like the main stuff you'd see in the trailers and then the gameplay and how it performed. That was it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, like the kind of bits of the open world. But the reviews, I wouldn't go off the reviews. It's like with a book. You have to read it in order to actually know if you're gonna like it or not. Like
Yeah.
it's one thing to read the blurb, and then there's one thing to read a review about the book, and there's another thing to read the book yourself. But
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's
I think video games in general, especially the review websites and officials at IGN and PC Gamer and all them, that the respect in general from the gaming community towards those as valid sources has really gone down
yeah, it's
in,
like
in
yeah.
recent years. I mean, just a prime example in most recent history, which is hotly contested, and probably still is amongst some circles, is Last of Us 2.
Oh, well, I mean, the Game Awards, as time of this recording, was released, and Last of Us 2 won Game of the Year.
Yeah.
And again, everyone expected this. Whether it won or not, there was a 50-50 split. People saying, oh, the Game Awards is rigged if it won, or oh, Last of Us 2 was robbed. That's all I'm hearing now across social media, saying Last of Us 2 deserved it, and then others saying other games were robbed of their title because Last of Us,
Was trash.
it wasn't that good of a game, in my opinion. I've not really been a fan of Naughty Dog's games. I just didn't see the enjoyment of them. Like graphically and story wise, they did something good, but there wasn't that kind of feel of the game. Like it won hell of a lot of awards, which should have gone to other games. I think Hades was one of them. The art direction in that, Hades didn't win that. And I don't know if you played Hades. It's a fucking great game. The art in it is fucking... it's incredible. I love the art style for it so much. And it should have won Best Art. If it didn't win Best Soundtrack or anything like that, it should have won Art. And I know it didn't. And that's a shame. And...
Yeah.
I mean, Last of Us 2, I don't think, personally, it shouldn't have won Game of the Year.
I mean, from my perspective, I didn't play it, so I can't pass judgment. But I did watch the dumpster fire that was the Twitter row that started afterwards.
Yeah.
And that was enough to convince me on its own that this game is very divisive. Forget what I thought about it. Forget what, because I didn't play it. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah,
it's if you can, at one point the reviews from companies like IGN and PC Gamer and what have you were 90-something%. Like they were cream of the crop. Like
this creme de la creme,
really perfect, right? The user reviews were 50%.
Yeah.
Like mediocre at best.
You see this a lot with films. Like it's like the most recent, the Star Wars Episode 9. The reviews, like movie critics, put it at like 70, 80, 90%. Loving it. User reviews is about 18%. It's a massive decrease, and it just goes to show you can't really trust reviewers anymore because everyone's definitely got a lot different personality. Like, I guess you could say, and this is going to sound very, very weird,
Yeah.
in like the olden days when reviewers were kind of more respected and you had these people watching like thousands of films a week, writing out so many reviews for this article, people read them, it was very generic. Like, everyone back then kind of operated the same. Everyone had kind of the same mindset. And now, because of the internet, and there's a million things you can do in the world. You can have a job in literally anything. People kind of expressing their opinions more, and I don't think reviewers are or should be continuing as they should. Reviewers are not in the best mindset, and you can't have you can have as many reviewers as you can, but there will still be people that disagree after reading the review. And that's just human nature. Humans are not designed to work together in terms of opinions and mindset. No, because if you agree with the review, then you have a similar mind to them. If you have a different view or opinions on that review, then you're going to go completely negative and against it. And you could be in that like very small 1% where you see the best of both worlds, and you're like, yeah, the review was bad, but the game is good in these aspects.
Yeah.
But there is no reviewer that does that. They do pros and cons, but good news doesn't sell. Bad news sells. So if you're going to slam off one of the most highly anticipated game releases, you're going to get that review clicked on so many fucking times it'll reach the top news.
That's true. However, a good point to mention is that if a review company slates a AAA title, especially like The Last of Us or CD Projekt Red, the Cyberpunk, an anticipated game, if they slate it, and it's even if it's justified, if they slate it, they are blacklisted. Like it's allegedly, like, this has happened on multiple like older review sites that were honest in their reviews and what have you. They're blacklisted from companies to have them review their game.
Review copy.
Yeah. So
yeah,
in their best interest to give a decent review.
Yeah, you kind of feel like they're gonna be leaning towards the company side and all like that. It's like with Cyberpunk. I don't think it's being review bombed on Steam right now. A lot of users have like 0.3 hours in and saying the game's shit, it's buggy as hell, and like you see the people with proper reviews. Like if you have 25 hours and you put a negative review, that's understandable. You've actually played half of the game. Well, it's definitely not half, but you've at least experienced a good portion of the game to make a review. If you've played 0.3 to 0.7 hours, less than 2 hours, you are not entitled to be making a review that should be posted at the top of the review list, like on Steam. Like that like you see this person with 0.2 to 0.2 hours and the product's been refunded.
Yeah.
And they're complaining about like, oh, the graphics look shit, couldn't rebind my keys and all that. And it's got like fucking 700 people found this helpful.
Yeah.
This man barely did the tutorial. He didn't get through the prologue. Like, you can't trust him. You're looking at a very, very scripted part of the game that is working on a single path. It's not even close to what the open world aspect is like, and the whole judgment and the massive experience when you get into the game. And it's the same with like Skyrim. Like the very tutorial bit is very scripted, and like there's so much you can do before it kills you off until you reach the open world. And it's the same with Fallout 4. It's a very scripted start. And if you're slating the game on a scripted start, where you basically are only going to do what the game tells you to until you have free roam over everything, don't make a fucking review. Don't buy the game. That you shouldn't be making a review based on a 30-minute fucking playthrough.
That's it's like I played The Witcher 3, and I say I played The Witcher 3. I played about an hour of The Witcher 3. And
again, a very scripted start.
Yeah, no discredit to CD Projekt Red, because obviously people love The Witcher 3. They love the Witcher series, and I can respect that. but I didn't enjoy it, and that's fine. But I didn't tell everyone how much I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
you didn't slate it off on Steam with a
I didn't
negative review.
dislike it because
Yeah.
I thought this just it's not
Yeah.
my cup of tea.
I think
If there's to be fair though, if there is if the game's unplayable, even if it's in the tutorial end, like because of technical difficulties, I still think that warrants
yeah, but the thing is,
reporting.
with Cyberpunk, the game, yes, it has its optimization issues, but it's not to the point where it's unplayable.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
you? I can't remember what game it is. I want to say Skyrim's beta phase or Fallout New Vegas's release.
Mm-hmm.
The very start was so unoptimized, a lot of players couldn't get through the first bit. Like, it was laggy as hell, stuff wouldn't spawn. That is the definition of unplayable.
You're referring to Fallout 76, aren't you?
Yeah, I think New Vegas was a culprit of something, but
New Vegas had technical issues because
it had a lot of technical issues, but it was like with Fallout, like, you got to a certain point and it would, like, in the beta, it was a 70 gig download. You got to a certain point in the game, you click turn in, the game would crash and it would delete your game files. This was an actual bug. That is a technical issue which warrants a negative review.
Yeah.
Like, no matter how far through the game you've gotten, that is a very serious issue, and I can understand if you're leaving a review for that. But the tutorial for Cyberpunk was not something that is technically demanding.
Warrants that. Yeah.
It's not something that, like, yes, people are saying they lied about the specs, but the specs automatically are set to high or ultra. Like, they don't auto set to medium or low. You have to manually change it, which is a bit misleading. And very kind of, I want to say scummy, but it doesn't seem that far ahead.
Yeah.
It's still it's something they shouldn't have done. And the game is not unplayable in the tutorial. You can get through the tutorial just fine. I didn't have a single glitch.
Well,
the only glitch I had...
last gen.
Well, yeah, last gen. Last gen's a different story. The game was not supposed to run very clearly on last gen.
Yeah, but they released it anyway.
They started it on last gen, and then next gen came out, and they realized
fuck, we need to optimize it.
Like, holy shit, let's delete last gen and do next gen.
Yeah.
That's basically what they did.
I think they've been making this game for 7 years, haven't they? The original teaser trailer was 2013.
That's the one. Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
No.
That is genuinely an interesting choice, and you've got to give them some credit where it's due. Like, I can respect that they've pushed it back, to be honest, for so long, for 4 times, was it now? Because if they'd have released it when they said they were going to release it,
the game would be in an unplayable state.
You'd be looking at Fallout 76 level. And they've got another year to make multiplayer work right, and I guarantee you...
There's 2 years. Because of Corona, they've had to delay all the DLC was meant to come the end of this year. It's now 2021, and the multiplayer is 2022, as far as we know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is...
And you know what? It still won't be perfect when it comes out. It's still going to be a fucking...
It's like GTA Online when that first came out.
Exactly.
GTA Online when it first came out was a fucking shit show.
It was
no anti-cheat. There was a lot of glitches. It didn't really work as well. The servers were abysmal. I don't think they had one.
Yeah. They were.
Every game launches with issues. I just don't feel. I feel like Cyberpunk shouldn't be getting the review bomb it is. Yeah, you can say negative things about the game, but unless you have like at least 10 hours, I'm not going to read your review. I don't think anyone should read your review if you have less than 10 hours, because in a game as vast and detailed as Cyberpunk, you really have to look at the game before making a decision.
Yeah, but
I think anything above like 7 hours is good enough.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I'm not attached to it, so I guess from a completely unbiased sense, I see where you're coming from in the way that it is the genre of game which it fits into means you should probably play the game and give it more consideration. It's not like playing Call of Duty for an hour where you can go, yes, this game either works or
Yeah.
it doesn't. This is fun or it isn't fun.
Mm-hmm.
A game like Cyberpunk or Fallout New Vegas is a game where you have to consider story aspects and the writing and character development.
like how the character responds to stuff and the core gameplay.
Definitely, but at the same time, I think if your game is buggy, then you can still be criticized for it. Do you know what I mean? Like there is warranted to be criticized, because the thing is, I'd respect them even more. Like, I still respect CD Projekt Red for pushing it back and pushing it back and pushing it back because it just wasn't ready, or COVID was in the way. I can respect that. And for the people who were giving death threats and stuff to the staff for delaying the game, like, get a grip.
Yeah, like, that was not right.
Like, I prefer my AAA title games to come out and be perfect or near enough to perfect as they can be, than have them either rushed or
like they feel
rough. Like feel rushed. Like having like the time crunches that some of the CD Projekt Red staff members were on, where they're doing 100-hour weeks.
Yeah, the thing is, this is kind of a sore spot because people are saying, well, why did you crunch? Because they have been crunching for half of the year in 2020 with the pandemic, and obviously the pandemic has definitely had its effect on how the game was developed. A lot of games have as well. Assassin's Creed Valhalla had a lot of bugs when it launched with the open world. Destiny 2 had its most bugs ever since launch. Watch Dogs Legion fell off the map. No one remembers that game came out this year. It's definitely been tough working from home and then launching. You got to think, if you're a CD Projekt Red developer, you're developing your part of the game or your team, and the guys are coming in and saying, we delayed it 4 times, it's releasing this year. You're crunching, you gotta get it released in a good enough state. And you know there's certain issues that are going to take time and time to fix. And you're now under the pressure of, the boss needs it out, it's the most anticipated game since 2013, and the entire world is waiting for another delay. And you've got to cheer them up. And so yeah, the game doesn't feel rushed, but a lot of people are saying it should have been delayed, and I agree. It should have been delayed and polished.
Delayed even further.
It should have been delayed further, no matter what they said. But the game is still in a solid state. You would almost call it finished.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, yeah. I haven't seen enough to comment really on how finished it is.
I mean, you go on Twitch, it's all you can see. It's literally everywhere.
Yeah. I'm sure it is. I haven't been about it a lot, and I'm sure when this comes out, they've probably fixed a lot of the issues. To be fair.
Yeah, I reckon. Oh.
As of recording this, it's just an interesting point that they should have really pushed it back.
Yeah, they definitely should have. It's they should have, in my opinion, they should have just pushed it back a bit more, polished it out. But yeah, I mean the crunches as well. I'd never think it's right for a company to crunch on its employees.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Yes, okay,
a lot of gaming companies have come under flack for that.
Yeah, Rockstar especially was the first company to kind of have, okay, this is kind of wrong. When they were crunching for Red Dead 2, they were crunching insane numbers.
Yeah.
So insane that like people like The Sun and Washington Post really picked up about it, and there was a whole like it was like cancel culture in Rockstar. They were trying to like get them off. And
to be fair, Rockstar have really been cancelled many times.
they've been in the run with like tax evasion and shit for ages. Like
it's not even like that. Do you remember it was San Andreas and the hot coffee mod and that sort of.
Fuck yeah.
They've had so much shit.
Poor Rockstar, but here they are releasing their biggest GTA update ever, and the graphics will still look questionable on certain items. And still no GTA 6. Well, what can you expect?
I mean, I don't think it'll come out next year. I don't think it'll come out the year after either.
No,
To be
I don't
honest,
either.
they make way too much money from GTA Online for any of that to have a
You know,
priority.
this year in GTA Online was one of their most profitable years in the entire GTA release.
I'm sure it probably was.
Like, fuck me. But,
It's
no,
stupid.
I
Stupid.
fully. I don't think game companies should crunch. The people who make Hades, they force their employees to take vacations. They didn't crunch once.
Really?
They didn't set a release date until all the devs were certain the game was in a good state. And the game is phenomenal. It won many kind of smaller stage awards. It's overwhelmingly positive on Steam. Everyone enjoys it, and the Game Awards didn't really show it because obviously all these big AAA titles were listed alongside it. And Hades, you could class as an indie game. Technically, it's made by a relatively small company. There's not a lot of games that the company has made that are well known. There's a select few, and without Hades is a good example of a game that can be made with no crunchies, and because obviously if your employees are happy, your product is going to be made with happiness. If that makes sense, it's going to be made with a higher morale, and so they're eager to get the work done. If you're crunching and forcing employees to do 16-hour days and 100-hour weeks, and they're sitting there staring at the screen and mindless amounts of code and graphics and animations, all to get it working in one order to make a solid open world storytelling game, that's a lot. That's a lot. And obviously that will completely decline in your health. You're mentally, you probably won't sleep right, and
you're not doing your best work either, are you? Let's be honest.
You're not gonna be doing your best work. You're probably gonna have a long anxiety will probably start developing alongside you, and then you start getting death threats because the games had to be delayed.
Yeah, you start getting death threats from angry neckbeards,
and it's like, holy shit.
Like, why do I
really
even bother?
what you're treating the people who are trying to make a game as good as they can for you, and you're gonna tell them to fucking like, just it's in a bad state.
Angry neckbeards are like a force of nature. They're like earthquakes or forest fires or tsunamis.
Ooh,
angry neckbeards can topple nations.
You've just reminded me. There was a man. I don't know if you've seen this on Twitter or on social media. There was a man. He is the first human in the world to be surgically implanted with fins.
Fins.
Fins. F-I-N-S.
Like a fish.
Yeah, like fish fins. They are implanted onto the side of his head. I'll get a photo for you.
The side of his head.
Yeah.
Okay.
Human. Right, I'm gonna do this incognito actually because Google.
Are you? Why is the MI5 agent sat outside in the bank and has looked?
He had fins like surgically put in the side of his head.
Yeah.
And the kind of it was weird. Like he claims himself as transgender, which is like
good for him.
That's fine. Good for you.
Yeah,
cool.
Go
be a member of society. You're doing great. Having fins, good. They had to fly.
Cool? Question mark.
He's an artist. Apparently he's blind.
Apparently he's blind. What do you mean apparently?
According to the article, he's a blind artist, which...
Oh, okay.
Good for him.
Yeah, cool.
They had to fly a Japanese surgeon to do these fins into this guy's head. He's a Spanish-British artist. He was from Spain, moved to Britain to do art, and then left and back to Spain.
Okay.
And, his next plan, this is what you reminded me of, is to get seismic sensors implanted into his feet so he can feel earthquakes in countries that don't necessarily experience them, such as like United Kingdom and kind of anywhere above the equator.
Oh.
Which is...
Oh.
I mean...
Okay.
It's a very weird thing, isn't it? Like
seismic sense. Let's be fucking real for a second. That's very cool.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It's fucking biased. Those fins
If
must
I
make
could
him
be, he's basically.
aerodynamic.
Oh my god, he's basically trying to be Toph. Like, is it Toph? Toph from Avatar: The Last Airbender. You know the ones who can fucking see. She's blind, but she can see because of her seismic sense and her
Oh
earthbending.
yeah, like
That's basically
echolocation.
what he's trying to do.
Yeah,
That's cool, but also with fish fins.
yeah, like drilled into the side of his head. I can't find the article anymore.
Drilled.
However they do
I'm
it.
sure it's a bit more
I don't
technical
think they're
than
just gonna
that.
glue on some fins. There's gotta be some like locking mechanism holding it there.
What do you mean? What? That's fucking crazy. That is truly crazy.
I'm trying to find this
Locking
article.
mechanism.
Oh, here we go. This is him, right? This is copy image, right? If you check your Discord, that is the artist. This is the article. A man who claims to identify as trans species has had 2 fins implanted into his skull.
What?
He doesn't feel as though he's completely human. The 24-year-old has had 2 500-gram silicone fins, which he designed surgically attached to either side of his head. He claims the fins are connected to a microchip which allow him to hear atmospheric pressure, humidity, and changes in temperature.
Really?
Yeah. He said, skin area sore. I removed the fins to sleep and bathe. I'm used to people looking at me in the street, but the truth is it doesn't bother me.
He's used to people looking at him in the street.
Maybe he isn't blind. Maybe I was looking at
Maybe he's definitely not blind.
Oh, colour blindness. That was where it was. I missed out colour. The Spanish-born British artist was born without total colour blindness. He had it implanted into the top of his skull, allowing him to feel and hear colours in the form of audible vibrations inside his head. This man is playing cyberpunk reality? Seismic sensors, and now he can hear and feel colour? But yeah, that photo in Discord, that's him and his ears. Sorry.
His fins. Thank you.
His
Also,
fins,
this might be morbid. I really want to know what happens if you flick them. Is that bad?
I mean, he can take them out, so I'm assuming that there's like a little.
They're not
slot.
sensitive.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But if he can feel atmospheric pressure, like they must be really sensitive, surely.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know the guy.
We need to find answers.
We need to get in contact immediately.
Those in the comments, please.
Hook us up.
We need answers.
But no, I thought you said earthquake, and it just reminded me of this article I read, and I was like, well, I wasn't read. I was showing it to it in college, and I was just like, where do you get this stuff? Like, good on the guy for becoming, literally being able to feel atmospheric humidity and getting fins which allow him to hear colours and stuff. But how deep in the internet did you go? How deep into Reddit did you scroll?
You know what? For sure.
Yeah. It was a very interesting article.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. It's.
Speaking of natural disasters, I was talking to a friend at college about how the Earth is formed, and honestly, I have some real concerns.
Here we go.
I have some concerns.
All right, what's your concerns? Are you a flat earther?
No. That's not it at all.
Okay, we can. Carry on.
So if you take the Earth and you look at it from a macro scale, you've got the core, the Earth's core, which is just the angry bit.
Right.
Okay. So you've got the angry bit. Yeah, very angry, very hot, very, very shitty down there. Very angry. Then you've got thousands and thousands and thousands of miles worth of just stone and rock and earth. Earth, literally. But somehow, through all of that, the angry bit still peeks through onto the surface. First of all, what the fuck's that about? That's out of order, don't you think?
First of all, know your fucking place.
Yeah, exactly. You're the angry bit. You stay in the middle. Why are you come on, get a grip. Why are you fucking spewing out everywhere in the pimples of the planet?
What, you mean volcanoes?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Also, why... Okay, the crusty bit that we're familiar with, the tectonic plates that make up the crust of the Earth.
The shit we build on, right?
Yes, all of that. Small blanket of grass, by the way. it's not even a blanket. It's more of like a carpet. It's
Yeah,
carpet is probably a
thick
better
rug.
description. Not even a thick rug. It's not even that thick in the grand context of things. It's barely anything.
In
It might
terms
as well
of space,
just be fucking
that
lint.
shit's
Dust,
thin.
dust worth of grass. Anyway, the crusty bit. All it takes is just for those two plates to just shift. Annihilation, death everywhere.
Yeah.
Tsunamis, cascading Pompeii
Yeah, but like
disaster-like situations, and all because that crusty bit decides to go boop and shift just a little bit.
don't want to be there anymore.
Exactly, it just decides to be a crusty fucker, and that's it. Then that's it. That's death on a widespread scale. I don't think it's on, to be quite honest.
Yeah, but
it's a shit design.
It's like our sun. If our sun moved like a couple miles away from where it was, the Earth would freeze over.
Yes.
Like fully, the Earth would literally turn into Pluto, frozen, gone. That's it. Life would freeze.
Deaded.
Everything would
all
freeze.
life deaded. No life allowed.
Yeah.
Not here.
Do you want
Not today.
Do you want what I was watching? We'll get back to you in a second, but I was watching a video the other day, and it was titled "What Would Happen If the Earth Suddenly Stopped?" And what I meant by that was,
Vsauce.
the world is spinning in it's like 25,000 miles a second. It's ridiculously fast, but we don't know it. It's how our clouds move and shit like that.
Yeah, super fast.
And they said, well, what would happen if the world just stopped spinning and it just stayed still? And they said, well, the entire force of how fast you'd be traveling would hit you at once. So literal cities would fly across really quick. And let's say out of sheer miracle, because you're a fucking superhuman, you are able to withstand this. You are seeing your city being blown away, like ground is being teared up. Well, what's second is, because you are staying in a single position and you're not moving, the entirety of the sun's ultraviolet rays are on you immediately. Like, you're not shifting away. So you are burning to a crisp incredibly quick. And because there's no spinning, there's no atmospheric pressure or something to do with clouds. And this is the bit I forget because it gets very technical. But clouds just aren't fucking there. There's nothing to keep them there.
Clouds.
Other than rain, and the rain needs to be... something about the Earth's spin allows clouds to be formed at great lengths. There isn't any fucking clouds now. So it is literally just you and the sun and the entirety of inertia acting on you immediately.
Ah, good.
If the Earth just decided to stop. And it's like, what? How do we stop this? What if the Earth stops? I'm scared.
Please stop this.
Please. No, it's really incredible to see how our Earth works, and I think SpaceX is doing a great fucking job right now. Did you? Did you watch the launch they did the other day?
I didn't.
Okay, the launch is the same rocket they used to send the 2 men to the space station the other month. The same rocket.
Okay.
That's how good SpaceX has become. They are able to reuse an entire rocket within like 2-3 months.
Yeah.
Both boosters,
I mean, even condoms haven't discovered that yet. Yeah, that's a pretty fucking big discovery.
Yeah. But no, the 2 boosters that sent it up, they were both landed. Like, they went up in the air, jettisoned, came back down, slowed down midair, orientated, and then landed in perfect condition with fuel to spare.
Yeah.
So they're reusable instantly, and they're doing an incredible job of making space travel a lot cheaper. Because in the fucking 60s, you had one rocket, it would go up, it would explode in space, and then they'd be off to the moon, and then NASA would be like, right, good job, that's 60 million down the drain, now make another one.
Yeah, let's do it again.
There's SpaceX, like, okay, yeah, it's costing like 200 million to fund this thing, but like, you can use it for quite a long time. This is the same rocket carrying a payload that carried 2 humans up.
Yeah.
The exact same thing. All reusable. All recyclable. And it's incredible to see what SpaceX has become technologically. Like, if you haven't already, go and watch SpaceX's successful booster landing. It's absolutely incredible to think of the technology that went into it to make it fall at such a speed, slow down, rotate, and able to land on a small pad in the ship out in the middle of the Atlantic while waves are happening on it and the ship's rocking. It's
crazy.
It's so fucking cool to witness, in all honesty. And
which was it? What was the aeronautical disaster? Which Apollo was it? The one that just fucking blew up.
Oh, in space.
I mean, there was a few that just
Well-
fucking blew up, but a bunch of people died.
You had Apollo 13. No one died, but that was a disaster in space. And
Yeah.
then you had Apollo 1, the very first one, where they were doing a test run and the cabin door locked through, and there was a fire that burst out, and it killed all of them inside the cabin. Horrific death.
Yeah.
So you had Apollo 1, then Apollo 13, and then you had the space shuttle disaster, which was known as Challenger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Netflix did a series on this, kind of discovering into it, and this was where NASA kind of was replaced by SpaceX at this point. Like, after watching it...
After the Challenger.
Yeah. Well, no, not after Challenger. SpaceX wasn't formed for ages, but I always dug for NASA, and I was like, oh, well, SpaceX isn't doing anything that major. And then I watched the Challenger documentary, and I was like, do you know what? SpaceX kind of seems better in the light. But NASA was doing some dodgy shit back when Challenger launched.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
for any viewers who don't know, because this was a while back in 1970, 1980, it was sometime back in the 70s to 80s. Challenger was a rocket that carried the space shuttle, which was a commercial shuttle that was able to transport people into space to do tests. And this shuttle was special because it was full of ethnic people who were obviously in that time not able to do as good things as normal white people would, and it was good to see it. There was a teacher on board, which was the first civilian, like non-scientist, no specialized background training person who was going to be taking into this flight, and the flight was going up. It launched. It was amazing. Everyone was really happy, and it was kind of a big front to NASA, going, "Hey, we can send a teacher into space. This is how far we've achieved."
Yeah.
And then about 45% of the way up, something catastrophic happened. There was a massive engine failure, and the entire ship blew up and killed all of them.
Yeah.
The actual shuttle itself wasn't
That's what I'm
recovered.
talking about.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
actual shuttle wasn't recovered for quite a while, and when they did, all of the astronauts were still in the seats. Like burnt to a crisp, and then obviously they sunk in the ocean, so pressure had laid on them. It was really horrific, and it was a major blow to NASA. And the documentary, it goes into detail of the disaster itself, and there was these engineers the night before the launch. Engineers who designed the engines said, "Listen, the O-ring, which seals the bit between the rocket fuel and the actual oxygen, is loose, and it corrodes especially in cold weather." And they launched it in very, very cold weather. There was icicles coming off the launch pad the night before, so the damage was...
It was just irresponsible by everyone involved,
it was completely
basically.
irresponsible. The engineers, all of them outright said, "Do not launch."
Yeah.
And NASA said, "Do you have
How
any
about I
solid
do
proof?"
anyway?
They basically said, "Do you have any solid proof?" And because they only had the one thing, NASA didn't count it as enough. So they launched anyway. After the crash, they got an investigation by Reagan. So yeah,
Was it
people
Reagan himself?
No, but he kind of oversaw the investigation.
Yeah.
had people like Richard Feynman, brilliant physicist. He kind of went into it, and he exposed NASA to covering up the O-ring incident, which was the entire... NASA kind of disregarded it and said, "Yeah, we don't know what it is." And then Feynman was like, "Well, do you know?"
Well, you do a bit, mate.
Yeah. Like, were you informed about this? And he goes, I remember a conversation. He goes, "Did they tell you not to launch?" He goes, "Yes." And he's like, "So why did you launch?" And then he's just like, no comment. Like,
well,
NASA was becoming really scummy back then, and like they it's because they didn't want to stop the space missions, and they were losing public interest. And this because of this teacher and everything it represented.
Yeah,
it was a big deal for them, so they wanted to launch no matter what. And it ended really badly, and it was a horrible event.
Yeah, it was a horrible disaster. But
Definitely.
Here's the thing, right? Originally, Sesame Street was very popular at the time.
Mm-hmm.
This will become relevant. They initially were going to send Big Bird onto the
Yeah.
Challenger and send Big
Yes,
Bird into space.
they were.
And then someone went, "Why the fuck are we sending Big Bird into space?"
No,
And then
no. They were going to, and this was covered in the documentary. His costume wouldn't be able to fit in the
yeah,
the cabin.
exactly. Like
So
we
they
can't
were
fit.
like-
It's
they were
fucking
like,
Big
okay.
Bird.
They were
Choose
like,
someone
"Alright,
else.
Fuck that. Let's get rid of Big Bird. What a stupid idea."
I find it somewhat morbidly amusing that in an alternate timeline, Big Bird is one of the casualties of one of the biggest aeronautical disasters
That honestly,
of all time.
in an alternate timeline, you just hear
Big
the news.
Bird is a
Big
tragic-
Bird has fucking blown away.
Big Bird is fucking dead.
That honestly,
And not only that was on live television. If
literally,
I recall.
yeah, like. Oh my god, that would have been so funny.
Can you imagine
if
the
it
death
was-
of 1,000 childhoods
if it
all
was
simultaneously?
actually the thing is, they couldn't do Sesame Street again. They were like, "Oh fuck, Big Bird's fucking dead."
Can you imagine the fucking funeral on Sesame Street?
Oh,
That is fucking brilliant.
that is actually hilariously funny.
It's
I mean,
terrible.
yeah.
Also, just a point I picked out when you were describing the Challenger, just nitpick because I know people will definitely have picked up on it. You were talking about the ethnic diversity and the things it represented. You also went normal white people, which you said.
Well, you see, the thing is, this was the 70s, so obviously white people were like fairly dominant in most jobs.
Yeah, no, I get the
until like
message,
that.
but it's the way you said normal white people, and I was like, I'm gonna call him on it later. It's fine.
Listen, you know what I mean. I
know.
didn't
Yeah,
mean it in that sense, but, like,
the message was still conveyed. It's just
Yeah.
the exact vocabulary in which it was conveyed
God,
that made it an interesting point of note.
God, wow.
What is it? Sweating. All
Yeah,
of a
I'm
sudden.
gonna do a NAS and just say no comment. I
Yeah,
didn't mean
just
it like
cover
that.
it up, it's fine, it didn't happen.
I was having a bit of a ramble. I was trying to remember and stuff like that because it was considered normal and yeah.
Yeah, but in all honesty, the Challenger was a tragic.
It
tragic
was
event.
fucking horrendous for aeronautics. It was what made NASA lose all their funding, so they couldn't do much more out in space. And it's a good thing people like Elon Musk have privately funded their own space shit to do stuff. That space has been fucking wild. Like
Space has been wild in.
you've got SpaceX launching their shit. China's just launched fucking something into space.
Something. Was that Huawei? Do you reckon? It's a giant wiretap.
Yeah, it's just 5G in space. No, it's for something to the moon. It's going to the moon and it's preparing for when, because we are going back soon.
Yeah.
That is that is going to be there as like a care package.
Yeah.
So
Also, you know the first men to walk on the moon? If their shuttle hadn't worked correctly and been able to deliver them, there was a speech that was prepared by the American government for leaving. Is it Lance? Was it not Lance Armstrong? Was it Lance Armstrong? No, it's Neil Armstrong.
Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin.
Yeah, Buzz Aldrin. There was a speech prepared by the American government that would be told to the public in the event that they couldn't make it back and their ship was left on the moon.
Yeah, well, this is the thing with Apollo 13. They had to they had to basically recreate that speech because if you haven't seen the film Apollo 13, go and watch it. Tom Hanks and fucking Kevin Bacon, they're in it. It's a fucking great film to watch.
Yeah.
But the disaster was they spooled the tanks, which allowed air to flow through the engines and kind of give it a bit of a jump start. Doing that, there was a loose wire and it caused an explosion, and they started leaking oxygen into space. Very, very big issue. Obviously, you will fucking perish.
You will die. Yes.
So
No air in space.
They
Big problem.
They couldn't. They shut down the fuel cells because that's where they thought it was coming from. Didn't work. So now they were out of like half of their engines, and they were thrown off course. And because of this wire that had faulted, it shorted almost all the electrics, and they couldn't turn it back on in the normal way because it would short out the system, and then they wouldn't be able to turn the oxygen back on.
Mm.
So they had to adapt in this very small, literal, like, I want to say no bigger than a prison cell. Of a cabin, and then a small hallway, and then another prison cell, which was the lunar lander, which they had connected with. That was all they had going, and that was all they were going to be able to use. And it was a disaster because they thought, well, they've got no fuel, they can't land on the moon now. How are we going to make it back in time without them suffocating to death? And luckily, the American government managed to get them back safe and sound. And this was before Challenger. This was quite a bit before Challenger. This was just after the man had walked on the moon. And yeah, it was very good they averted it, but I can't really remember the details, so go and watch the film. It was a great film. I really recommend it.
Great movie.
Top film.
Top film.
Oh, God.
Is that our time?
We got a couple of minutes left.
Oh, all right, fair enough.
We could call it if you want.
Yeah, let's call it.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that was a good episode. It was kind of quicker than I expected, honestly.
Yeah, for sure.
That went super fucking quick.
Mm.
But no, we hope you enjoyed our episode of space and and video game reviews.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
fucking Big Bird blasting out into nothingness.
The tragic death of Big Bird.
Rip Big Bird. You'll
Big
be
fucking
forever
rip
in our
Big Bird.
hearts.
Yeah.
But no, thank you all for listening so much. We really hope you enjoyed it. We're going to try and churn quite a few of these out as possible. They're really fun to make.
Sure.
Brandon's company is always a pleasure to have.
And yours, mate.
And the stuff we talk about, yes, it's going to be random. This is going to be disclaimed everywhere. We will definitely be sidetracked, like fucking Big Bird. Talking about a very, very serious aeronautical incident, and then
well, I mean,
Brandon's alternate Big Bird death
note.
timeline comes in.
it's a worthy note.
It was hilarious, but you'll see shit like that, and if it's not for you, then it's not for you. But we really hope we entertained you. I had a blast.
If you don't like it, go fuck yourself. No, I'm kidding. Actually, no, I'm not kidding. I'm gonna double down. Go fuck yourself. This isn't for you.
Fucking great. But yeah, we hope you enjoyed. If you liked it, feel free to share it with your friends. Subscribe, hit the bell, give us a thumbs up. Let us know what you think. Reach out to the comments, to Twitter. We're always listening, and hell, we may even read your funny incidents or tragic deaths.
tragic events on our podcast, and we
on our
might laugh
podcast.
at you if there is a situation in which
We are sorry in advance.
but
yeah,
our condolences, but also if it was funny, it was funny.
Fucking lol, am I right? Alright, thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.
Till next time.
Bye bye.